Okay, we're recording. Are you ready? Welcome back to Lauren GTV. Lauren GTV. Did I say that right? Lauren GTV.
EFG.
Elemental P.
HIJK.
Disciples so often get into trouble. Still, God is there every time. He's your bodyguard, shielding every bone. Not even a finger gets broken. Psalms 34:19 and 20.
To Lauren GTV. Thank you for tuning in to my channel. Be sure to subscribe. Just kidding. Thank you for watching my video. This is my first YouTube video, so there's no way you could have been here before. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for finding interest in our birth story. This is my husband, Charles Gallons. People, Charles Gallons, people. How are we gonna start this? What you wanna do? You wanna follow the bullets? What you wanna do?
Freestyle off the dome.
Okay, so boom. I'm in the kitchen cooking it up. So it was a brisk Tuesday morning. No, really though. What day was it?
It was Wednesday.
It was a Wednesday. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Charlie was born on Wednesday, December 3rd, 2020.
She was born on Thursday.
Charlie was born on Thursday,
December 3rd.
December 3rd, 2020. I knew that.
Oh, okay.
My water broke on Wednesday, December 2nd.
There you go. 2020.
2020. Okay, so I hate it here so much. Okay, our birth story. We have a story to tell. Okay, so Charlie was born Thursday. Wednesday, my water broke. So it was a snow day. Josiah wakes up and he runs to the window. School was canceled. He runs to the window and he sees the beds of snow outside in the backyard. He asks if he can go play in the snow. I mean, why not? So he runs down, he gets dressed, runs downstairs, and he's outside playing in the snow. I had a few orders to fulfill, and I don't know if, were you working from home because of COVID or because of the snow? No, because of COVID.
COVID.
Yeah. So he's working from home because of COVID, so he's here in the office. I am in the kitchen and Josiah is outside in the backyard. I was on the phone with my mom and we're actually talking about our plans or her plans, what she's gonna do in the case that my water breaks. And yeah. And so I'm in the kitchen, or I'm in the pantry at the time. And I just remember I'm reaching for a box to package an order. And then my water breaks. I feel a trickle go right down my legs. And I didn't panic. I didn't freak out. I just wobbled into the office. And I said, babe, my water broke. And of course, he didn't believe me.
Tell them why I didn't believe you.
What's funny is, not only did he not believe me, he was like, yeah, okay. And just kept doing what he was doing. Like, he had no interest in what I was saying whatsoever.
Because, I'm going to tell y'all why. Because she's a prankster, okay? Like 2 days before.
What pregnant woman doesn't at least pull it one time on their husband or significant other? One time.
2 days before, she is in the bathroom and she screams like, baby, my water broke. And so I jump up from the desk.
And there was water on the floor.
And run in the bathroom. Yeah, it's water all over the floor. So I'm thinking her water really broke.
I striped pajama pants. And I showed him my leg and I showed him the trickle. And he was like, for real? And I'm like, yes, my water broke. Like, seriously. And so I wobble back to the kitchen. I go finish my order that I was packaging up. I go finish my order. And he's like, what do we do? What do I do? Do I go get the pool? Because we were planning for a home birth. We did everything that we could to prepare for a home birth. So he's like, do I go blow the pool up? And I'm like, no, calm down. We're not even close to that part yet.
Don't be flexing like I was freaking out.
You were freaking out.
I was not.
Oh my God. He was definitely freaking out.
I didn't freak.
So he calls Charlie. He lets Charlie know, hey, it's go time. So he calls Charlie. That was that. So at this point, he walks into the kitchen. And like I said, I was finishing my package. I had told Josiah to come, baby, clean up. It's go time. Like, mommy's water broke. Josiah didn't believe me, y'all. So,
because she played too much.
So Josiah didn't believe me. So I had to like really explain to Josiah, like, no, this is not a game, y'all. Like, let's go. So, yeah. So, rewind. We were planning for a home birth. So every possible thing that you can think of, we had. We were prepared for any and everything. We had a doula. And so our doula, in preparation for a home birth, our doula gave us everything we needed to know, what could happen, what our chances are with this, what our chances are with that. We had two different birth plans.
Yep.
We had a hospital birth plan and we had a home birth plan. We printed 4. We had one on the refrigerator. We had one on our bedroom door. We had one on the wall in the bedroom, close to where I would be giving birth. We emailed them to our parents because the plan was for Charles's family. They already had their flights and they were coming in, I think, like a few days before the baby was going to be born. My mom was just on go. She was like, let me know, like, whenever your water break, or I'm going to try to be there a few days before the due date. But if that's not the case, call me, let me know. And so she was. I was on the phone with her a little bit before my water broke. And when I ended up calling her back, I remember she was she's a teacher. She was in her classroom and I'm like, Mommy, my water broke. Before I can even finish saying broke, she was walking down the hallway and I heard her in her principal's office. Mm-hmm. And she was like, it's go time. Like, my daughter's water broke. Literally, what time?
Shout out to Lola.
Shout out to Lola. What time? That was early in the morning.
It was like 9 in the morning.
Yeah, it was really early in the morning. Lola was here by 3 o'clock. She lives in Texas. We live in Kentucky. So that was pretty awesome. Like, I told her, I heard her relaying this information to her principal. And I think within the next hour, she was like, I'm boarding the plane. Like, the GOAT. Okay? Mm-hmm. So in preparing for a home birth, what our doula explained to us was, so let's talk about the negatives. She told us, if there's meconium in your water, which is basically if your baby poops inside of the sac that she's in, that's meconium. And if there's meconium in your water, baby, there's nothing you can do. You have to go to the hospital. So when your water breaks, you'll see the meconium. If there's meconium in your water, you need to get your things and you need to go to the hospital. You cannot have a home birth. She prepared us for everything. She told us what to do to get the baby in position. She told us, like, I was outside curb walking, stuff I've never heard of before. She was the GOAT. Shout out to our doula. Raya Arnold. Shout out to her. But yeah, she, like, down to the T.
We even had in there what color socks I was gonna wear. You feel me? Like, details.
Anyways.
But
he's lying.
So she just prepared us, for all of the different possibilities that can happen with a home birth, because obviously you have this plan and you have your idea of how you want things to go, but things don't always
actually she taught us we're not doing it right. It's not called a birth plan, it's called a birth preference.
Right, because things
don't go as planned.
Exactly.
So it's what we prefer to happen. So I'm sorry, it's called a birth preference. We had 4 different birth preferences. And one was a hospital and one was a home, because anything can happen. We had hospital bags packed, ready to go, just in the case that we had to go to the hospital. And we did have to go to the hospital. So that came in handy. She taught us about, we did like detailed research on everything, like stuff you don't think about. Who's gonna have the baby on the weekends when the baby gets here. Like, she prepared us for everything. She prepared us are you guys gonna do date night? Like, how's that gonna work with a new baby in the house? And especially we're new. We can possibly think of planning wise. We had it written down. We had meals, how we were going to eat for the next 6 weeks after Charlie was here. And honestly, like I said, it was more of a preference because half of that stuff we didn't follow. We kind of didn't, and like, but she really did open up our eyes though, because you don't think about, there's going to be a new baby here. How are we going to how are we going to have our me time? What are we going to do for our relationship? Because that's still important when a baby is born. Just because a baby is born, it shouldn't change us, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a lot to think about, a lot to take into consideration. But yeah, she very well prepared us. And then we're doing our own research. We were watching videos. We were taking birthing classes. We did a lot. We did a lot to prepare, especially for a home birth. My doctor was absolutely against our home birth. And she just kept saying, okay, every time I seen her, okay, so who's your doula? Okay. So you're sure you're gonna do this at home still? Oh, okay. And yeah, she was totally against it. Totally. And we love her to death. But she said, okay, so this might be the last time I see you. So are you on Facebook? Yes, girl, I'm on Facebook. You can see the baby. But no, she was really cool. She was very cool. She never discouraged me ever. She told me her opinion, but she never said, I don't want you to do this, or this is something that I don't think is safe. She actually supported our decision, and she went out of our way to give us more information, so we could do our research and figure out exactly how to do this, you know? And so, yeah, we did. I think we did
Shout
pretty
out
well.
Dr. O.
I think we did pretty well with our research. But so going back to the day of, so my water breaks. I'm in there, like I said, making orders or fulfilling my orders. At this point, Charles walks in the kitchen and he's like, "What do I do? It's like you did all this preparation and then everything happens and you're like, and so I just remember trying to slow everything down because everything was doing this. And I remember calling his mom like, Gigi, it's happening. And she was like, oh, right now? I was like, my water broke. And she's like, okay. And so his dad actually came out that day. So my mom and his dad came out that same day. And
shout out to Grandpa Rock.
And my sister, my mom, and Grandpa Rock. And so all of the research and all of the preparation that we did, the one thing we forgot to do, nobody thought to pack a hospital bag for Josiah at all. So where we had detailed instruction for Josiah for a home birth. So we wanted him to be involved as much as possible. We wanted him to play a role in this experience. We didn't want him to feel left out. We even had a little congratulations, you're about to be a big brother party for him. We did so much for him, and being sure to include him into Charlie coming into the world. We wanted him to be around while I was laboring. The only part that we were excluding him from was when she was actually coming into the world. Like, that was the only part where I was like, okay, at this point, I don't want Josiah in the room. But I wanted him in the room while we were laboring. I wanted him to help out as much as he can. I wanted him to help prepare for his sister. So I wanted him to have specific jobs. Like, ideally, the family would have been here around her due date. And so I asked them to, when she's when you guys are downstairs, I want Josiah to, I don't know, prepare her cribbing area for her, and stuff like that, like as much as possible. And I did I make him buy her a gift? I think he had to make her a gift. He had to make her a gift. I wanted him to make her a gift. Like, I wanted him to be involved as much as possible. I did not want him to feel left out. And so, yeah, we included him as best as we could. And we wanted him to be the very first one to meet his little sister. And so ideally, with the home birth, we wanted him to be able to come into the room after she safely came and cleaned up and whatnot. We wanted him to be able to come in the room and meet the baby before anybody else met the baby. Whether that was hospital or a home birth, that was in our birth plan, that he come in our room and he gets to be introduced. So Charles is asking what to do. He's asking, do I go blow up the pool? I'm like, no, not yet. I do want to labor. I wanted to labor. I wanted to go on a walk. I wanted to go up and down the stairs like my doula had advised. There was a bunch of stuff that I knew that we needed to do before we go and blow up this pool, and the water is cold. And so we were heading upstairs. And
but
so
the pool would have taken like 25 to 30 minutes to blow up though, because the thing's huge.
Yeah, and ideally I thought that I would be in labor for hours. So I was like, no, not yet, not just yet. And so I just remember Josiah goes, we're at this point we're heading upstairs. And mind you, throughout all of this, I never once looked at the water at all. Like, I knew that my water broke. I knew what our plan was. I hadn't called my doula yet. And we weren't panicking, we weren't freaking out. We were just like, it's happening.
Excited.
Yeah, we were excited. And so, yeah, my water broke and we're walking upstairs. We're about to walk upstairs. And I'm like, okay, it's go time. Like, we about to do this. And I finally like open my pants and I check and see that my water, like to see the water. And my heart just drops. And the first thing I saw was meconium in the water. And so I'm like, babe, my water broke. At this point, I wasn't sad. I wasn't upset. I was pissed. I was so mad. And he's like, call Raya. So I call her, and I think he calls her. And he's like, this is what's happening, blah, blah, blah. And it's silent. Like, nobody says nothing. Because we all know. She prepared us for this. So we all know what we have to do. Yep. But that's not what I wanted to do. So I was hot. Like, again, I was hot.
This is why it's called a preference and not a plan.
Right.
Because
we knew what we prepared for, and that's not what we got.
Plan was out the window at this point.
Right. So at this point, our home birth preference, that goes out the window. We go and grab our hospital birth preference. And like I said, we have multiple copies. It was a copy on the refrigerator. It was one in the car. It was one in our bags that were already packed. Like, we were ready to go. Nobody thought to pack Josiah a bag. And what's crazy about this is, a few days, I think at my very last appointment, which was the day before, I was talking to my doctor, and we live out here by ourselves. It's just us. We have no family out here. We have no friends out here. I mean, you have a few people that you play basketball with, but we're kind of out here by ourselves. So I told her, and there's COVID, and at this point, only one person is allowed in the delivery room with you. And actually, the hospital, right?
Yeah,
the whole hospital.
The patient can only have one.
As you're walking in the door. Yeah, as you're walking in the door, they're like, you gotta go wait in the car. So I asked her at the doctor's office, I'm like, what do we do in the case that I go into labor or my water breaks early before our family gets here? What do we do? And we had Josiah. She was like, we'll make it work. I got you. And she did. So in preparation for us having a home birth, we also learned about shoulder dystocia. And so basically what we were taught was, when she was telling us all the negative things that could happen if you have a home birth, the two most important things that she taught us was meconium in your water, and then she taught us shoulder dystocia. And she said, if shoulder dystocia happens, there is absolutely nothing you can do. You have to get on all fours, put your head down and put your butt in the air and call 911. If shoulder dystocia happens, you can bleed out and your baby will suffocate and die. And so I distinctly remember sitting talking to her, and when she said that, I was like, whew, that's crazy. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, this sounds, she was like, don't freak out. This is why we're doing the research, so that you are prepared all the way around. This is this is why I'm showing you this. She was like, don't be scared. You're doing what you need to do to prepare for your baby to come into the world safely. And I remember having that conversation, and it's so crazy, but I remember having that conversation with her. And it's like she did her job. But so we do all that we can to grab everything that we need for Josiah. And like he said, we don't know how long we're gonna be there. So we grab everything to keep him occupied. What we were taught was, if you have meconium in your water, that is an emergency. Like, you need to get to the hospital ASAP. ASAPidly. Fast.
Expeditiously.
In a hurry. So the stress, basically when we called her, she was like, go now. So I'm like, I have an attitude. Like I had a really bad attitude.
She was seriously pissed off.
I was pissed. And I have an attitude. And so I'm like, but can I take a shower though? And she's like, Lauren, take a shower, but hurry up. And so I went and I took a shower. I was fast. I understood that we were in a hurry. So I did what needed to be done. But I went and took a shower. Like I said, our bags were already packed. They were packing Josiah's stuff. It was last minute things that I wanted him to grab. So his sister had like a cute little frog made for the baby. I wanted that to be in the hospital room. And there were certain things in our birth preference that I really wanted. So like we had essential oils, we had a diffuser, I wanted gospel music. Like we had a lot going on. And so with that, there were things that weren't packed that I was like, don't forget the essential oils. Don't forget her, what is it called? The frog was supposed to be I forgot what it's called. Our doula taught us that it's a focal point. So the frog was supposed to be my focal point. Basically when I'm in labor and I'm pushing, that's what I'm looking at. And I'm like keeping my eye on the prize. Like, this is why I'm doing this. So I wanted my focal point to be there. So I'm like, we're grabbing small stuff, if you will. But yeah. And so, yeah, what's your point of view from that, from all that chaos?
Hurry up.
Oh my God.
And so like, as a married man, right, you can tell when your wife has an attitude, and so at that point you just try to kind of like be out the way so that you don't get beat up.
Oh my God.
So like, I was trying to
be all he gotta come with us. We don't know nobody. So she's like, okay. So she lets him in or whatever. She lets all three of us in. What I did not realize was, go ahead.
Pause. When this happened, we called her doctor's office.
Oh, she told us to call first. That is correct.
Hey, Lauren's water broke. She has meconium in her water. She's like, oh yeah, y'all need to come to the hospital now. Like, I'm telling them already that y'all are on the way. So when y'all get here, go directly to check in and y'all will be good. And then y'all come up to labor and delivery. So I'm like, all right, bet.
So that's two people. That's the doctor's office, and then that's our doula telling, like, y'all need to move. You need to go. Okay? Hurry up. So
fast forward again, right? So we get to the hospital. Like she said, let me tell this part. So we get to the hospital, right? The lady at the door is like, 3 people, hold up, trap. Who's like, we all he got. So she's all right, go ahead. So we go to she's like, go right there, check in. So we go to the check-in desk, right? We're like, yes, my wife's water broke, just Lauren gallons. We've already called the doctor. They said that, we should be good to go to labor delivery. Dog, listen to me when I tell you this. We spent about 35 minutes.
She's like, okay.
At that check-in desk.
Okay, so I need you to fill this out. And then I need you to fill this out right here.
She's like, can I get your insurance card?
And then let me get his temperature.
All this stuff.
And then this here, you see this page here? I need you to fill these first 5 pages out. And then I'm like,
listen,
do you have your insurance card?
And I'm about to go off.
So at this point, I'm confused. I'm like, so is it an emergency or not? Like, can I go home? Like, are we at this point? I'm still thinking I'm having my home birth. Like, I'm still like, we going home. They just gotta check my water real quick, At this point, I'm I'm shook, I guess.
And so she sees me. She can see that I'm getting frustrated, and so she does one of these on me. She's like, that's her way of telling me,
calm down.
Calm down.
Calm down.
Thank you. But I'm just like, bruh, if this is an emergency, why are you moving so slow? Right?
And so we sit there, we fill out all the paper emergency. And so we get the paperwork done and we go sit in the waiting room.
35 minutes, y'all.
We go sit in the waiting room. And so I'm like, okay, so at this point, I'm like, if this is not an emergency, can we go home? Like, can I go back to my comfort zone, you know? And even if I had planned on having a hospital birth, when my water broke, it would not be my intention to immediately go to the hospital. I would have wanted to labor at home, and then go to, like, get ready and go to the hospital when it was time for the baby to come. So I'm sitting there like, so can I go finish laboring at home? Like, we'll come back, but can I go labor at home? Mm-hmm. And so we're just sitting in the waiting room because I guess this is not an emergency. And so the nurse finally comes, and she's sweet. She comes and she has the wheelchair and everything, and she takes us up. And the whole time I'm like, there's meconium in my water. I just want to know, what are my odds of going home? Like, can I go home? Like, that's all. I still have an attitude, but that's all I was thinking about was laboring at home or having this baby at home like I wanted to. And so, yeah, she takes us up to the suite or whatever, and we get in there, we're checked in, we put our stuff down, we get comfortable, and she checks my vitals, and she checks to make sure that there's meconium in the water, and she just verifies everything. And that my water broke. Yeah, she just verifies everything, which was fine. And so I ended up asking her, what are my chances that I can go home? And she's like, you're fine. There is meconium in your water, but you're perfectly fine. Do you want to go home? And so I'm looking at him like, can we go home? Like, you know, I'm trying to figure it. I at this point, I don't know what my odds are. Like, I'm trying to figure out what we should do, and doing everything, checking my vitals, blah blah blah, blase, we're good. So at this point, I'm chilling. And I still have this mindset of, why am I here? Because I didn't understand the emergency, and honestly, I kind of still don't. It was just the baby pooped in the sack. And I mean, I understand. I do understand. Okay, so I do understand why this is emergent. I do understand that she can inhale her own poop or drink or eat. I don't know. But I do understand this. But I guess the way that they were moving, it didn't seem like this was emergent, you know? It didn't seem like they weren't making this a big deal. And so I'm trying to wrap my mind around, what am I doing here that I couldn't do at home, basically? And so... And
I was the same way. I was like... So, when we got in the room, we had a copy of our birth preference, and we ended up giving it to the nurse. And she read it, and she gave it to the other nurse that was there to read as well. Mm-hmm. And
they respected it.
They respected it. And so one of the things that we had in the birth preference was that Lauren wanted to kind of labor on her own. She wanted minimal interruption, so that she could kind of labor freely.
And I didn't want to be hooked up to cords.
Right.
I wanted a labor ball. I wanted a peanut ball. I wanted the pool, and I wanted to be able to labor in the shower. And to be completely honest with you, giving them my birth preference in the way that they respected it was beautiful. Yeah. Literally, the only thing that I did not have at that hospital was my birth pool and a shower. Yeah. Every other thing that I had planned to do, and how I was able to dance like I wanted to. They let me walk up and down the hallways. Like, I was able to do everything that I was going to do at home. Just, they didn't have a pool and a shower, so I couldn't do that. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but so, you know, I had kind of the same sentiment as her. I was like, okay, this is supposed to be an emergency, but like, nobody's in here. We're kind of just in here on our own.
I don't see no emergency.
We're sitting there, and so we're trying to figure out what's going on. So I asked the nurse, like, hey, so, you know, the whole meconium in the water, like, it's an emergency, right? Well,
and she's like, you're good. No, you're fine.
She's
you're
like,
good.
no. She's like, so when that happens, we just want to monitor the baby's heart rate, monitor mom's heart rate, and make sure they're good. Make sure there's no, dips and things like that. She's like, and plus, we read the birth preference and we saw that she wants to kind of labor unbothered, so we're respecting that as well. I was like, oh, okay, cool, appreciate it. So that was the thing, because both of us were like, this doesn't really seem like an emergency, so what's going on? But they were just being respectful of our birth preference, and then, so they were monitoring the heart rates, but they were doing it from their nurture station. They were just allowing her to labor, kind of unbothered, just like she wanted. So once I found that out and I told her, we was like, all right, cool, appreciate y'all. Like, we'll stop, tripping out about it, for real.
Not only that, but I was like, can I go home?
But I think whenever we found that out, she was like, all right. She wasn't really she still wanted to go home, but she really wasn't as she wasn't pressed like.
We still at this point, we still hadn't made up our decision if we were going home or not. Because she did tell us, she was like, if you guys want to go home, you can go home.